Hey guys, it's Tom with the Kester Property team. So it rained a ton yesterday in Kansas City. And if you're like a lot of people, whenever the rain starts, you start thinking, did I get water in my basement? Well, I'm going to give you 7 tips and tricks to help you keep water out of your basement during the rainy season. Stick around to learn more. Hi, it's Tom with the Kester Property team, where we answer your questions about real estate and help you solve the real estate puzzle. Thanks for joining us. Tip number 1 is to actually water the ground next to your foundation. Now that may seem counterintuitive because this whole video is talking about getting water away from your foundation. But the first step is actually to water your foundation, or water the first 18 to 24 feet. Now why? The ground, the soil in Kansas City has a lot of clay in it. And if you're familiar with clay at all, when clay gets dry, it contracts and it shrinks. Well, in the hot summer months, when the ground gets really dry around your foundation, the ground can actually pull away from or start to pull away from your foundation. And what you'll notice is a little gap start to develop between the ground and between your foundation. The problem with that is once the rain comes back or the snows of the winter and the water hits your foundation, it's not going to flow away from your home. It's going to go down that crack. The problem is once that water goes down there, the freeze and thaw of winter and the colder months can actually expand and contract that water. And that's going to put what's called a hydrostatic pressure against your foundation. And you want to avoid that at all costs. That's where you get into major costly repairs that can happen over time if you don't take care of that. So the first step is to water the ground next to your foundation for the first 18 to 24 inches out, and do that all around your foundation, especially during the hot summer months where it doesn't rain a whole lot. Tip number 2 is to clean your gutters and then inspect them. Clean your gutters. Well, why do I clean my gutters? Because those are way up in the house and we're talking about foundation. Gutters are like one of the #1 culprits for water getting in your foundation. Now, the whole video is about getting water away from your foundation. What happens with the gutters when those get full or they start to leak is that water backs up, and guess where it goes? You got it right next to your foundation. It's just going to sit there. So make sure your gutters are clean first of all. Get up there, scoop stuff out, and if you don't want to be on a ladder, I get it. There are companies, handymen that will go up and get that out for you. Scoop that stuff out. Get rid of it. Don't leave it on the ground next to your foundation so it pulls water back in. But clean those gutters, and then while you're up there, inspect it. Make sure that 3 things. Make sure that it's clean, make sure that the gutters are in good repair, and then make sure those gutters are actually properly attached to your house so they're not going to cause any problems down the road. Tip number 3, inspect your downspouts thoroughly. Now, you might not think about downspouts as a big deal, but you need to inspect them. Those downspouts are a very, very important part of the water travel, or the conduit rather, that gets the water away from the foundation. Now, not only can they get full of like your sticks and things like that, but like the very bottom of them can get bent or broken or crushed if like a mower hits it or a ball that's being played with smashes it. It's important that you check those, because anything that impedes the water flow can potentially bring water to your foundation. So make sure they're done. Next part of that is check your splash blocks. And if you don't know what a splash block is, here's a picture of it. Splash blocks are very important. They come in concrete or like a heavy plastic. Splash blocks are what the downspout should empty into, and then that pulls the water away. You need to make sure the splash blocks are in good shape, in good repair, and that they're positioned correctly to move the water out of the downspout and away from your foundation. Now, if the elbow at the bottom of your gutter is too far above your splash block, you may need to get a plastic flexible extender like Home Depot or Lowe's that you attach to the bottom of the downspout, and then that flows into the splash block. It's important that you have those because you want to give the water one continuous path to get away from your foundation. Tip number 4. Make sure that the ground actually slopes away from your foundation and not into your foundation. Now, this is really important. Going back to what I said about hydrostatic pressure at the beginning. If, for example, the ground has pulled away a little bit from your foundation because the clay in the soil has gotten dry and has shrunk, if the ground slopes into your foundation, guess where that water's going? It's going down that crack and down into your wall, and it's really difficult to get it out of there, if not impossible to get the water out of there. You really can't drain it. So you want to make sure that the ground slopes away from the home and not into the home. And it might even be a gentle slope, but you really want to make sure it slopes away. Now, if you do find a slope into your foundation, what do? You bring in fill dirt. There are handyman and landscaping services that can do it, or if you're feeling adventurous, you have time or a truck, you can get dirt on your own and you can bring it in and just scoop it and lay it down next to your foundation, and it'll take care of it. Step number 5 is to check for pooling water next to your foundation. After heavy rain, go out and walk around your yard. Walk around and see, where does the water pool in your yard, if anywhere? And if it is going to pool, it needs to be at least 6 feet away from your foundation. And if it's in an area that you don't like, maybe it's destroying trees or other shrubbery, you can bring dirt in for that to raise that area up. But just know that that water is going to go somewhere. So you got to be really careful that you don't divert the water into your foundation. Step number 6. Keep track of changes around your property. Like your neighbor. If your neighbor puts in a row of hedges next to their property, or if they change the slope somehow of their property, how does that affect your property? Is the water, and again, you're going to want to check during or after a rainstorm, is the water sloping down into your yard and it wasn't before? Did they just put a pool in? Did they just, put a sidewalk in? Whatever they did, you want to make sure that what's happening around your property isn't also negatively affecting the water coming in toward your foundation. Last but not least is step number 7. Now, step number 7 is to check your own foliage and your own trees and bushes and things around your property to make sure that they aren't hiding a problem. You want to keep them trimmed and nice, not only for aesthetics, but also so that you can see around it. So you can see if over time the ground is maybe washing out behind it and it's causing a problem. You can still bring in dirt if you need to, and if the bushes and things are trimmed back, it's easier to get dirt in behind them. But monitor that and make sure that that foliage isn't hiding something that's a problem, like the ground sloping into your home, or worse, creating a problem by not letting the water get out because it's either too dense or the roots have got high or anything that would impede the water from flowing away from your foundation. Thanks so much for watching this video about keeping the water away from your foundation. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us on our website here or call us on our local phone number here. We're always here to help, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business at the Kester Property Team. Make it a great day.